Hi guys, so tonight's daily devotion is about grief and overcoming grief, what the Bible says about grief. This is from my daily devotion passage from February 17th, 2015. February 17th, 2016. Alright, so grief is all-consuming. It's terrifying and devastating. Grief is big. No matter what we strive for, we cannot avoid grief. If we're lucky, we won't have to experience it until we're older, more mature. However, some do not have this luxury. Grief is not racist. It's not persuaded by money or circumstance. Grief is fair, even if it doesn't feel like it. Grief is grief. In my mind, grief and death go hand in hand. Death is the act, and grief is the everlasting feeling that is left behind. Everyone deals with grief differently. For me, when my grandfather died back when I was a freshman in high school, I cried. We spent an entire week in hospice with him. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through. But afterwards, I was filled with such a sadness when he was actually gone that I couldn't cry anymore. I didn't have the tears anymore. I was wiped. I was emotionally exhausted. I was done. I didn't eat much. I didn't sleep much. I didn't stay home from school, actually, because I didn't want to be alone in my grief. October 1st, 2015. Grief dominated Douglas County, Oregon. Not only for the families of the 9 souls that went home to Jesus, but also the community itself. We grieved for the 9. We grieved for ourselves. We grieved for our loss of security. We grieved for our children and their safety. However, we gained a sense of worth for our lives, a sense of purpose to protect, and we came together to help each other in our time of need. God uses this kind of grief to push us forward for His plan that He has for each and every one of our lives. He uses this to shape who we're going to be, to shape our skills, to shape our resolution, to shape our hearts into the person He needs us to be. God doesn't make us hurt, which is a common misconception, because a lot of people think that God hurts us to shape us. He doesn't cause these things to happen. He doesn't stop them, because they will shape us into the person we need to be for Him, which is a hard pill to swallow. I will admit that. He uses what happens to us as a means of showing us the way He wants us to live. 2 Samuel 12:20-23. Then David got up from the ground. After he had washed, put on lotions, and changed his clothes, he went into the house of the Lord and worshipped. Then he went to his own house, and at his request they served him food and he ate. His servants asked him, "Why are you acting this way? While the child was alive, you fasted and wept, but now that the child is dead, you get up and eat." He answered, "While the child was still alive, I fasted and wept. I thought, who knows, the Lord may be gracious to me and let the child live. But now that he is dead, why should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I will go to him, but he will not return to me." Many could see David's urgency or his longing to get back to normal life as a sign of relief or a sign of uncaring for this child. But he wept and wept while the child was sick. That shows all the love that he had for this child. All the hurt and pain that he had that this child was not getting better. He wanted God to heal this child so that he could go on and this child could have a life. However, he realized that life goes on. With or without your loved one, you may think the whole world is horrible for continuing to go on without the person you love. And you may not want to go on without the person you love. But the world goes on. Time goes on. You have to take care of yourself. You have to move on. You just have to. You can't let yourself waste away and not enjoy the rest of your life because someone is gone. Take the time to grieve, but don't let yourself become stuck in grieving. It only causes misery for you and those around you. God made this world to be a beautiful and happy place. If we always let hardship keep us down, we'll never grow, we'll never expand our thinking, we'll never move on. Then this life would not be worth living. Moving on is not a sign of happiness with a bad situation or contentedness or being okay with someone dying, but rather it's a sign of strength and the ability to keep life going and to be able to still enjoy the time we are given, because whether someone is here with you or not, your personal time is short. God uses these times to shape our thoughts and to help others in the same situation. Also, in Job 1:21-22, and he said, "Naked I come from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." In all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. Oftentimes, this world feels cold and empty, but God has placed us a support system in our lives, and He lives in our hearts. Combined together, nothing is too big to overcome, including grief. We may miss someone, but this passage reminds us that we come and we go alone in this life. We cannot let the passing of another deter us from our course. It's easy to blame God when we lose something or someone we care about. But He's still supporting us. No matter what we feel, no matter what has changed in our lives, He still supports us, even in our darkest days. He does not do us harm, but He allows bad situations to help us grow. Psalm 23:4. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Even in the darkest of days, grief-stricken and alone, God has got our back. He carries us and He pushes us, and sometimes He allows us to fall. He is never gone, and He is always there to pick us back up, dust us off, and send us off to try again, just like the Father He is. These three passages seem like different stages of grief. The first is the denial, getting back into routine, feeling helpless that even though life is moving on, nothing can change the fact that someone is gone, that they're dead, that they've left your life for one reason or another. The second is anger, specifically learning to swallow our anger and realize that God is in control. More importantly, that He is not out to harm us or to deter us from His plan. The third is acceptance and readmittance into His kingdom, learning to trust Him again when we realize He has done no wrong. God is always there for us, no matter what. In our good days and our bad days, He's the Father. He's a second father to some, and He's the Father that some have never had. Grief can be overcome with God's help. We have to listen to Him. We have to trust Him. We have to know that He knows best. That just because He's in the Father position doesn't mean that He doesn't know anything. He's God. And He's got your back.